time to collect. I was in fear. I was hiding in my closet. Shivering in my closet, like my grandfather did in 1933 Romania. You know, he has. Ever since Tom got on Netflix, his tastes have gotten, how shall I say this nicely, posh. I talked to Christina about it. You know what his midnight snack is when he wakes up in the middle of the night? This is what she told me. This is what Christina Przitsky told me. He eats caviar as his midnight snack. He said, it's low in carbs and poor people can't afford it. I know he has trouble sleeping in hotels now because they don't have the 3,500 thread count sheets that he's used to at home. 3,500. So when he won this bet, he was going to go to some crazy place. If Bert won, no big deal, you know? If Bert won, he would want to go to like a Fairfax High football game and buy everybody hot cocoa. But that's not what happened, unfortunately, for me. That's not what happened. So I had to leave. And I couldn't just disappear into America because Tom has operatives all over. He's a very popular guy. He has operatives all over, and I'd be found. So I had to leave the country. Did I miss anything while I was gone? And I mean, I can't wait to catch up. I got this ticket to a Prince concert. I'm going to see Charlie Murphy next week. I'm really excited to be home. But when I was gone, I had some soul searching to do, and I first went to a monastery in the Himalayas. I studied with a shaman for a long time, and I did a lot of ayahuasca and mushrooms. They have a special kind of mushroom up there. Helps you see your inside. And my shaman was like, look inside you and consider the bets you've made in your life. And I did. I did consider the bets. And I realized that I've never shirked on a bet in my life. Not once. I've paid off bets that have hurt me in ways that no one can even understand. I had to get a nipple pierced once because I thought Anderson Silva would beat Chris Weidman. I made a bet on that. One time, I don't even know what I lost this bet on. I had to wear a diaper for 24 hours. Couldn't shit or piss anywhere except in the diaper. I was allowed one change of diaper. I had to walk around with shit and piss in a diaper. This wasn't when I was a kid. This was fucking 6 years ago. I lost a basketball game to a Arab sleeper cell member, Nick Youssef, who's stationed here, waiting for the call. I didn't have a good breakfast that morning. That's why I lost. I didn't realize the value of a good breakfast, and so I lost to him, barely. I was up 10-7, and as a result of that, I had to wear a sock that he came in. He fucking jizzed his terrorist jizz in there, and I had to wear it all day long. And I talked to my shaman about this, and he said, well, are you a shirker? And I was like, I'm not a shirker. He goes, so what are you going to do now? And I go, I'm not about to start shirking now. But the problem was I didn't have enough money. I didn't have enough money to pay off Tom's extravagant tastes. I mean, do you know that he uses a new computer every month and just throws the old one out? So that's what I got to give a sporting event to, a guy like that. So I had to save up money, so I started working. I went to North Korea, worked as an English teacher for a bit. It's a little bit weird there as an American, so I moved on from there. Went to Africa. I landed in South Africa. They went north, and I volunteered as a Peace Corps volunteer. And then while everybody was working, one day I went through everybody's stuff and stole their belongings and any money they had, and I used that, about half that money, to get me to South America, where I picked avocados. I made my way up to Russia, worked on the Trans-Siberian Railroad, fixing the tracks. The whole time I had to give up drugs because I couldn't afford them anymore. All of my money had to go in paying off this debt, paying off this bet, treating Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer to a sporting event. And eventually I started making enough money, or almost enough. My memories started coming back from the lack of drugs. I can remember stuff from 20 years earlier. I remember full lines from The Simpsons from when I was a kid. I was picking peppers for a while in Australia, a pepper farm. And just popped into my head. This thing Chief Wiggum said to Homer once at a chili cook-off. When he was showing a pepper, a really hot pepper. You know what pepper? The merciless pepper. The merciless chili pepper of Quetzalcoatl Tenango. Grown deep in the jungle primeval by the inmates of a Guatemalan insane asylum. Fucking full lines popping into my head after 20 years. And eventually I got almost enough money, and I came home. I came home, and that's where I am now. Back to an America that everyone seems happy with. How those peaceful protests working out for you guys? They doing anything? Those peaceful protests? They accomplishing anything? And now I'm back, and I've almost got enough money, and I'm ready to start podcasting again. I'm ready to pay off my debt. Before I do, I've got just a little bit more money to earn. So with that in mind, this episode is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? Do you know where to post a job to find the best candidates? Posting a job in one place isn't enough to find quality candidates. If you want to find the perfect hire, you need to post your job on all the top sites. And now you can. With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post your job to 100 plus job sites, including social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. Find candidates in any city or industry nationwide. Just post once and watch your qualified candidates roll in to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Quickly screen candidates, rate them, and hire the right person fast. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by Fortune 100 companies and thousands of small and medium-sized business. And right now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/skeptic. That's right. ZipRecruiter.com/skeptic. One more time. Try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/skeptic. All right. Now I've made enough. Let's start the episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ari Shaffir Skeptic Tank. I'm your host, Ari Shaffir. On today's episode, I'm going to tell you about a man. There's a town, Northern Thailand town called Soppongto. It's maybe 2 hours north of city of Pai, the hippie city of Pai, probably an hour and a half south of the Watamua Forest Monastery. It's all, to get there, you'd have to go through Chiang Mai, the northern capital of Thailand. And in that town lives a man named John Spies. And if you ask anybody in that town, they might not speak English, and most don't. Most people in Soppongto do not speak English. You ask anybody, where's John? They'll point you to the cave lodge. You don't have to say where's John. Just go John, and then like question mark with your hands. Give that little mime out situation that you do in other countries. They'll point you there because everybody knows John. He built the town. It's his. Not really in like ownership, but in spirit. Before he got there, there was nothing there. It was a tiny village. Now it's it's a bigger village. It's a town. It's a town now. And they'll point you to the cave lodge. The cave lodge it's my favorite place to stay in all of Thailand. Possibly, I don't like to say favorite, so I'm not going to say all of Southeast Asia or all of the world. But I will say it's my favorite in Thailand. It's the only place in Thailand I would make a trip to go back to. Yeah, I would go back to some places. The Chiang Mai Jazz Company was cool if you're in Chiang Mai, but that's the only place I would like, as long as you're here, let's stop for a while and let me go to the cave lodge. Here's what happened. I just finished 3 months of backpacking through Myanmar. And there's nothing there that's Western. Barely anything. In the old capital of Yangon, of Rangoon, there's a Pizza Hut and there's a Swenson's. And that's it for the country. I wasn't in the south, but I got to imagine it's the same as all the way in the north. And center. There's nothing Western at all. And so you get there, and after a while, you start getting used to it. You start getting used to not having anything Western around you. Occasionally, you could find like a pack of Oreos at a rest stop on the side of the road, But that was about it. And so I got used to not having this Western stuff. There'd be people around. There'd be Westerners around, Westerlings, as my friend called them. But nothing was set up for us. So it was just sort of like free. And then after that, I went straight to Chiang Mai. And man, it was like this overload. This overload of like Western culture and of a tourism culture. Everyone's trying to get over on you there. They're all yelling at you. You need a ride. You need a taxi. Massage, massage, massage. There's burrito places. There's burrito places. Burger Kings that have sticky rice. That was cool. They don't all have the same menu. It's like when you go to McDonald's or KFC in Canada and they have poutine. You're like, what? Yeah, they had poutine and pie. Awful, awful poutine. Don't go looking for it. It's not good. There are 2 places that had it. I went to both of them. Not worth it. Just shredded cheddar. And so I couldn't handle it. It was just like too much. I couldn't settle in. My introvert self was being pulled by these stimuli in all directions, and I just wasn't enjoying it. I had been there before. I'd been there 2 years earlier, and I just wasn't enjoying it because of this. Because it was so much different than what I was used to. I should have maybe gone to like a halfway point, gone to like a beach in Thailand, and then made my way up. But man, Chiang Mai is way better than Bangkok in terms of like the Western stuff. That's not my kid, by the way. That's a fucking neighborhood kid. Shut it up. Shut the kid. Okay, she can probably hear me if I can hear him. So I had to get out of there. So I went to Pai, and Pai was too much. It's not what people sell it as. They sell it as this weird hippie community where people are just there smoking pot in the streets, but it's been found out. So there's tons of people there too, and that was a little too much for me too. Maybe if I had a group, that would have been better, but I didn't. And then I couldn't quite settle in there. There's a bunch of Western stuff there. Falafel stands. What are they trying to leave that kid in the fucking hallway crying? I mean, move it up or down. You think it's crying because it's been abandoned? Oh, the mom told it to shut up, and then it shut up. Fucking fake cry, motherfuckers. And Pai was that, you know. I didn't really get the mushroom shakes that were there. I did have a good time. This little music festival, this little $3 music festival. But I couldn't quite settle in, and then I decided I got a tip about the cave lodge, and so I took this bus. I met some forest rangers from Montana that had come all straight from Chiang Mai, who were also going there. They were on the bus. And they take you to the city of Soppongto. They let you off, and then you have to find some random taxi. And there's no taxis. There's some guy saying, "I'll be your taxi today." And he takes you. It's either that or a moped, and you have all your stuff with you, so you can't do that, really. They took you down this long road to Cave Lodge. You say, "I'm going to Cave Lodge." He goes, "Yeah, I'll take you." 60,000, I forget now. Baht. No, 60 baht. Right? It's not in thousands. And so they take you down this long road, and it gets less and less businesses and less people until it's almost deserted. And it completely is deserted. Then you're driving through the woods. And you're driving through the woods, and then you come to the end of the road. And at the very end of the road, there's this place. I don't know how to describe it. It's just kind of like a tree house on the ground. Just this wooden tree house on the ground that was curved and went into like a drop off. So it started on the ground, then went off onto stilts into the air. And it was exactly what I was looking for. It was exactly what I was looking for. There was nobody there. And man, it was fucking glorious. They had a fire every night, a giant fire pit. Maybe I'll get into that at the end. But the Cave Lodge, what it exists in is it exists around the tourism of Sepong, which John built himself. The tourism is around a cave called the Lode Cave. We'll get into it and how he found it and stuff like that. And since then, John's found a bunch of other caves. What you do is you go, you get there. He wasn't there when I got there. He was off taking care of his father or something. And so, but I met him a couple days in. They had these sign-up sheets for these cave treks. And these cave treks, you need 5 people to go on them or they won't go. So what you end up getting is like 4 people sign up for one 3 people sign up for another, and there's all this jockeying. Like, come on, sign up for ours, sign up for ours. We can't go on it if you don't sign up for ours. You know, maybe one has 4, one has 9. Like, come, one of you guys drop off so we can go on this trip. And he has these local Thai scouts, guides, that'll take you on these cave treks. And these caves are undiscovered. I mean, he's the only one that knows about them. He made these maps, but these maps are not drawn to scale. To find them is difficult on the maps he's drawn out. And you go down to you take a truck to give you these waterproof bags and a lunch. And you go on these trucks, and they take you to a place where it lets off. They say, okay, everybody gets off here, and they park the truck on the side of down a dirt road. It's a good regular road, then dirt road, and then stop. Then everybody gets out, and you hike for about an hour, and then you come to this cave, this hidden cave in the woods. And you're like, what? And then you just start going down. They give you a little helmet flashlight, and you start walking. And it gets darker and darker and darker until there's no one there. There's no light at all. And then you start going through water. And at first it just goes up to your ankles, and by the end it's up to your chest. I went in dry season. In wet season, you have to swim through it. Up current sometimes. And man, the only way you can see is with those helmet cams. And I mean, we were down there for 6 hours. You have lunch down there. Bats everywhere. There's bats everywhere. You look up sometimes with your helmet flashlight, and you're like, there's thousands of them, and they don't hit you. They go right by your face. Sometimes they go right in front of your face. So it's like, oh, but they don't hit you. They don't hit you. And do I have this in the right setting? Yes, I do. And you just walk and walk, and you see these crazy stalactites, and you see stuff that has been untouched by man. You see these insects that are just so unique and weird. And what the fuck are they doing down there? What do they eat? And you're soaking wet, and it's cold, and then it's hot, and then it's really cold, and it's so much fun. And you don't pass. So you have a group of, let's say, between 5 and I think we had I went twice. I went to 2 different treks. And if you go on 2 treks, you get a free t-shirt. You get a free Cave Lodge t-shirt. And I did. The treks cost money to go on because they had to hire the guide and the food and all that stuff. And you go for 6 hours and you don't pass anyone. I'm not saying not a lot of people or we caught a random day. I mean, there's no one down there. No one knows about these caves except John and his guides. You don't pass a soul. So you talk, you wade through water, and at the very end of the cave, there's one cave, we all agreed, let's just shut our light off. Let's see how we feel with the light off. And it's the blackest black I've ever seen in my life. There's nothing. There's nothing. You put your hand in front of your face and it doesn't register at all. You start to imagine that you're seeing something and you're not. You start saying like, I think I can see my hand. And then someone else will have their hand in front of your face. And you're like, and it'll touch them with your nose. Like, and you're like, what the fuck? And you didn't see it at all. One of the times we did it, some guy got scared, really frightened. After about 20 seconds, he turned his light back on. And we're like, no, shut the light off. Let's see how it feels. And then we shut it off. 10 seconds later, turn it right back on. And we're like, oh, you're frightened. It's discombobulating. You don't even know what's up and down. I heard a story. Did he tell me on this podcast? No, I don't think he did, so I'm going to say it. I heard a story. No, you know what? I'll save it for the end just in case. Save it for the end. I'll write it down right now. Man who got lost. Got stuck. And it's great. And it's an amazing cave lodge. It's an amazing place. And they have this fire pit in the middle. So when you come back and you dry off, you take a warm shower. Warm showers between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. You take a warm shower, and everyone sits around this fire pit. And if you don't know anybody, if there's other groups there, you get to the first day and you feel like an outsider. Well, it just brings everybody in to this fire pit. And you sit next to it, maybe on your own, not nearby anybody, because it's pretty fucking big. And I'm looking at my apartment now, and it's, let's say 15 feet across, and the fire's in the middle. Is that right? 6, 12. Yeah. Yeah. And you can sit all around it. And it just draws everyone in. And then you hear them talking, and eventually you're talking too. It's the most social, introverted social experience I had at any place I went to on this trip. I was more social in other places overall over time, but this was just like, it was fucking great, man. It was fucking great. See, honestly, it's the only place I would go back to that I'm like, I got to get there again. I will go back there again. And John lives there, and he's built a life there. He's an Australian guy. He'll tell you how he got there. He'll tell you how he discovered all these caves and about life there in Soppongto and life as a caveman. Couple things to announce. I am back. I'm not going to be on the road much this year, and that means pretty much zero. There's a This Is Not Happening Storyteller Show May 27th at the Bell House in New York. No lineup yet. Get tickets, $20. We are taping a new season of This Is Not Happening, June 4th through the 22nd. Is that right? So the filming dates for the shows, I'm getting this right because I'm going to give out tickets if you want. June 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So the Sunday through Thursday. And then June 18th through the 22nd. That's Sunday through Thursday. Early show and late show. Probably every night. I think so. I think every night. With the possible exception of the first night. Fuck, I wish I knew. Anyway, if you want tickets to any day, email me. The links they use don't work the best, and if people have problems with it, I won't want to get into it. So I'm just going to put you guys on the guest list myself. First on. Email me, contact@arishafir.com. Tell me which show you want to go to, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, or 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. You can do one per week if you want. And tell me if you want to go to the early show, which is probably like 7:30, or the late show, which is like 9:30. How many people? Tell me the people that you actually want to come with, not just like random people. What's up, squirrel? I put you on the list. Tell you what, if you want to go to 2 shows a week, you can. I'll get you on there for free. The lineup this year, should I just announce it now? We got some good people. Jim Brewer's coming back. I'm excited about that. So's the fucking newly non-obese people, Tom Segura and Burt Kreischer. And can I just say this for a second? Congratulations, Tom Segura and Burt Kreischer. Congratulations on not being obese. It's a great job. But Tom was 5'11.8. He was not 6 feet tall. I was not out of line to ask for a measurement. Because at 5'11.85, 219, 119. No. He was 1 pound under obese. 1 pound. 5'11.8. I asked for a measurement. No apology. I didn't hear a single apology. Oh, yeah, you were right to ask for one. I guess he must have shrunk, huh, Joe Rogan? I guess he must have shrunk like my dad from 6'1 to 5'11.8. 1 pound under obese. And he did it, And congratulations. And I'm happy for them both. I am. Because now, Bert and Tom, you're both going to live past 50. And you weren't going to before. You weren't going to before. Obese people don't live that long. So congratulations. Yeah, 1 pound. Oh, I'm a fucking shirker to ask for a measurement at 1 pound. Where's my goddamn... I want a written apology, and I want a written apology and a blog on MySpace. That's what I want. 1 pound. But they did it. And congratulations to both you guys. Because it's hard. It's hard to lose weight. Not so much for me and Bert. I used to be obese too. I was 225 once. And, no, 245. 245? Yeah, 245. And it's hard, to lose weight. But for people over 6 feet like me and Bert, it's a lot harder. But for an under 6 footer like Tom, it's way more difficult. So congratulations to both of you guys for losing the weight. So if you guys want tickets for that, this is not happening to see any of them. I don't know who's coming on when, but come. All the shows are going to be good. All the shows are going to be good. Kathleen Madigan. Who else? Old favorites. Metzger. Big J, of course, Joey Diaz. Let's not get into it. Let's just start the episode, right? Shall we? We shall. Ladies and gentlemen, Ari Shaffir Skeptic Tank, episode 290. Caveman with John Spies. Oh, and I'm going to put a bunch of pictures up of the caves on the website, arithegreat.com. You can go there usually for all tour dates, but since there's not many tour dates except the Bell House, I'll probably do another. This is not happening in July. Probably one a month. So, check on there. Also, I always list the music there. If you ever wanted to see what music I use, it's always listed there with links to try to, if I almost always confine it to a YouTube video of that. So if you ever had a question like, who's that band? Go to the website, arithegreat.com. You'll see it there with extra details like these pictures. You got to see these pictures, you guys. These caves are fucking gorgeous. They're gorgeous. So let's start. Ladies and gentlemen, Ari Shaffir Skeptic Tank, episode 290, Caveman with John Spies, starts now. It's good to be home.
Yeah.
Talking, that's fine.
Okay, yeah. Well, it wasn't that long ago that.
Do me a favor, just bring this a little closer.
Yeah, the only source of light really was either burning pine wood, the lower part of the pine tree. You can cut it out when it's still green. It's full of sap, and you just tie it into a bundle and light that. That was the traditional light up here for a long
And then you just bring extra packs to light as one goes out?
You sort of try and keep it going. Hopefully there's a few of you with a few lights, so one goes out. But it burns pretty well. And bamboo is a little bit more sus in that it might go out, and if you're deep inside a cave, you're sort of screwed. But with the pine wood, good bright light, that's what we first used when we first came to Tumlot.
Really?
Yeah, to the cave.
I was going to ask, like 30 years ago, they didn't have those torches that you just hand out.
They had Chinese flashlights, which were pretty useless, and the pine wood, which lit up the whole scene.
It would.
And it worked well. And so the prehistorics, when you've got a burning piece of wood, you don't go too far inside a cave, particularly a wet one. Because, if they fall in a river or something, and you're not going to get out. Because
wonder what would bring them there anyway. Is it running away from predators, or is it like trying to find food?
For instance, in Tumlot, it was a great food source. They had the birds, the bats, which they could catch with some sort of net or just throwing rocks from the roof or bits of...
Trying to kill one?
Yeah, you'd probably just chop a big branch of bamboo and throw it off the outside of the cave down onto the birds as they're flying in, and I'm sure you'll catch one that way. It was easy. And there was fish in there because the fish lived on the guano. And
we saw a bamboo spear left in there.
Yeah. Well, they weren't. No, the fish now are protected in the cave.
Oh, really? Someone's not listening.
No, there's a big fine. It's like 5,000 baht per fish.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
not worth it.
No.
Just go to the store.
But the nice thing about this whole fish protection thing in the cave is that they get the tourists to feed them. They sell fish food to the tourists, and they feed them all throughout the dry season. Then in the wet season, when the river goes into flood, the fish think it's safe to leave the cave. The water's all murky, so they swim outside the cave, and little do they know that all the locals have got modern fishing rods out here now with lures and all the things that fish like to eat.
Shit's changed.
Yeah. So they that's a real free-for-all going for all these big fish that live in the cave.
I'd say those extroverted fish are the first ones that get eaten. Because hey, what's out here? This is cool.
Because before they protected the fish in the cave, the river was basically fished out. And so now, for 6 months of the year, a few months of the year, they got some really good fishing happening around here.
The fish come from where the river feeds into the cave.
Yeah.
The fish come from in there. I saw one, and I was like, how would it get in here through the rocks?
The fish originally come up from the Salween River, and they lay their eggs up here. But they're carp, they're native carp, native to this area. But in some of the caves, we have some really amazing fish. They're cave-adapted fish that have lost their eyes.
Yeah. Some
have just lost their sight with skin coming over, and the eyeball's still there under the skin. But there's two different genus in our region, and one of them it's a new genus, new species, the whole thing, brand new sort of little critter, and this thing's beautiful. It's about the size of your little finger, and it walks up waterfalls. So it has no eyes, it has this wedge-shaped head, and it uses its fins like feet, a bit like a gecko can walk up a wall. So these things sort of waddle up these waterfalls, and they're in 2 caves in our district and nowhere else in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Who discovered them?
I did actually. Well, actually, the first one I was with some caver friends, and it was Kerry. He was the first one at this big waterfall inside this cave that's got very high carbon dioxide content. You're sort of gasping for breath in there, and he saw this thing waddling up the waterfall. He had no collection container, so he popped it in his mouth. And then, like 10 minutes later or whatever, he's back at the camp with us, and he had a bottle of alcohol or something and put it in, and we sent this off to, the world cave fish expert in Switzerland, and he said, wow, it's a new genus and all this sort of stuff. And then in the other cave where they live, I found them. I was with actually a Thai TV crew, and I was looking on this waterfall, and amazing that there they are, the same fish in a totally unconnected cave. So there's been a lot of study on these things. BBC Planet Earth did a segment on them, if you've seen the Planet Earth caving series.
Okay, I haven't seen the caving one. I've seen some of the other ones.
It's awesome. Check it out.
And so they lost their eyes through adaptation?
True. Yes. Yeah. It takes maybe 50,000 years or something to completely lose your eyes as a cave fish, but your eyes are connected to your brain, so if there's any damage there, you can easily die out, sort of thing. So the fish that did develop this skin over the eye, then eventually lose the eyeball because it was useless, they are living in the dark.
Yeah.
And it helped them develop other senses or whatever to find food in there.
Yeah.
But they're small because the food is microbial type stuff, things that grow on the rocks, and
they don't even need it. Probably just feel it out. Here's a rock.
They seem to be chewing on something that's growing on the rocks in there. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, there's not much. All the insects and the critters we saw in there, I'm like, what's your food source?
The bats.
They eat the bats?
No, it's usually from the guano. So things that grow on the guano, because inside the cave itself, there's no real food. Everything is coming from outside.
Yeah.
Whether it's coming in with a stream or the bats are bringing it in through the air.
Oh, okay.
And in Tumlot, our local cave here, we've got the birds as well. We've got hundreds of thousands of birds in there. And they're also cave adapted. Those swifts have this echolocation, so they're sending out these sort of sonar signals which are bouncing
just like
off the cave walls like bats. But the frequency is a bit lower, so it's not so accurate. So they do occasionally hit each other or hit the wall or something. But they're amazing. I mean, they're a cave adapted bird, and those little guys they sleep up in the ceiling of the cave in little nests or just cling to stalactites. And when they leave in the morning, they fly all day. They don't land.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you ever see a bird fly into a mirror?
I've seen it fly into the
glass.
The glass.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Because they don't see anything. I mean, it's just like a human walking through a screen door.
Yeah. They see the reflection. They think they just keep going.
Yeah, and they try to dodge it for a second. Like, why is that bird? They move right, and like that bird's moving right too. And they move left, and then eventually they smash into it.
Yeah. They're trying to avoid hitting themselves.
How'd you get here, man?
Well, I left Australia in 1976, which is a really long time ago.
Yeah.
I was on this overland
16,
trip.
yeah.
Back then, Aussies were sort of just starting to do the overland trip to Europe, which is up through Southeast Asia and through Afghanistan and all the rest, and make your way to Europe. And so that was the plan. I was going to travel around the world for a couple of years, end up in Tierra del Fuego or somewhere, but I'm still on my way.
Were you already into caving and stuff before that? By the way, can I just say this first? Nobody vacations like Australians. Whenever I'm on stage, you ask an Australian, like, how long you gone for? Like, a few months. It's always a few months. It's never like 1 week in America. They're always just gone.
Hey, Americans, I don't know who you voted for, but you only get 2 weeks holiday a year
2
or
weeks,
something?
and then 2 weeks sick, so you have to pretend you're sick for some of that, try to overlap.
You need a political party that promises, 4 weeks or 6 weeks holiday.
For sure. I would vote for that. I would vote for that, for time off.
No other policies, just that one.
Yeah. If I was president, the first thing I would do, that'd be good. That'd be the second thing. First thing I'd do is, guys, we're doing the metric system. Fuck you. Stop denying it. We're metric from now on. It's 4 years before it changes. And then maybe let's increase our vacation time.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, that's how you become a man of the people.
It's like 52 weeks in a year. You get, two?
Two.
Yeah. What
doesn't even make sense.
What's life for?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people out here that they're like Germany, where they have the 6-hour work days instead of the 8-hour work days.
Yeah.
It's really more about working for enjoyment of life rather than that being the enjoyment.
Yeah, just getting the paycheck to pay off the bills and stuff. Yeah. Well, anyway, I was on this overland trip to Europe, and I was young. I was 21 or whatever, so it's pretty easy to get lost when you got no plans. As John Lennon and all those famous people said, life is what happens when you're busy making, or I don't know, whatever it was, with no plans. Yeah. So that's what happened, and I met a local lady, and we did trekking together, taking tourists to hill tribe villages for 7 years, and that was actually probably one of the highlights of my life. It was a really good
Doing
time
trekking.
to do it. Oh, yeah.
Did you start hooking up with her?
Well, I just sort of met her on my first or second day in Chiang Mai, and she was a female trekking guide. She was the first one in Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
And she was working with a company that was taking people to this, the one and only tourist route up north of Chiang Mai. And I said, well, let's just branch out and go and find somewhere different. And we did that for 7 years. Had a fantastic time. So
Nothing was explored back then, huh?
I was often the
tourists.
first Westerner to visit those hill tribe villages. It was, people, little old ladies sort of picking at the hairs on your arms and looking into your eyes, and guys checking out your boots and this and that. It was quite extraordinary. We'd ask them.
The day ghost walks.
They're sort of like, they've never seen a Westerner before. There was one time actually we went to southern China in the early 80s, and in this restricted area we ended up getting arrested down by the border for walking in, without permission in a sort of hill tribe area. But the people there were asking, we could talk the language. They spoke a Thai language down there right near the Burmese border, and they thought I was her father.
Really?
Yeah, because I had sort of white hair,
Yeah.
so I was an old guy. All young people had black hair.
Yeah.
You don't get this colour hair until, blondish hair until you get really old. So they say,
Yeah, but the skin is so
I was
different.
20-something. Is this your father? Well, it was a good laugh anyway. But, yeah. So, yeah, we did that for 7 years, and then after that, thought, let's start a family maybe.
Yeah.
We had nowhere to live, and so back then, hill tribe people were just sort of moving around all over the hills. Let's set up a village here or there. First in gets a block of land. So we thought, why don't we try that?
What do you mean?
Just come and grab a squat. Just come and grab a piece of land out in the village out here.
Was it that uninhabited enough where you could just be like, nobody's using this, can I use it?
Yeah, it was.
Really?
Yeah, it was. It was a very small village back then, and we knew the cave was one day going to be a major tourist attraction.
Wait, who found the cave already? You had already seen the cave at this point?
Yeah. Well, when we were trekking, we used to stay in this village, so we knew the people. We knew the caves. I knew lots of caves around by then because we used to do 10-day treks out here. No roads, just walking through the bush on small paths and staying in people's houses.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we thought this was a fantastic place to live, to start a guest house. It was very unknown back then. There was no visitors to the cave.
Which cave were we talking about? Lode?
Tumlot, yeah.
Tumlot.
Which is...
That's not Lode Cave.
Yeah, Lot Cave.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just downstream from our place. Yeah.
That was the first one to get kind of known.
That was the one that, we decided to live here, one, because we really love the area. We knew lots of people around here. We'd lived with Lahu people up on the border back in 79. So it was in 84 when we moved here.
Damn.
And Tumlot, there was no tourists then. There was still the days of burning pine wood. And so we set up the lodge and somehow attracted a few backpackers in. And back then, there was no internet. There was
How'd you get even to know about this place?
It was word of mouth. It was all grapevine stuff,
That's how I found about it, word of mouth.
Yeah, back there, a lot of
Somebody
people
stayed here a couple of years ago and they're like, I think I know your style.
We're talking to each other. And back then, they called themselves travellers, huh? There was tourists who sort of, went on packages and stayed in nice hotels, and then there was the travellers who were, basically your backpackers of today.
Yeah, live in a monastery, live wherever you can.
And it was a bit of an ego trip, back then. It was all like, hey, man, they'd sit around a fire or something and talk to each other, and, I found this fantastic new little town, and, I was the first Westerner there, and it was exploration. There was very little information.
That must have been cool times, man. That must have been cool.
The world's now saturated with information, whether it's on the internet or guidebooks or this or that, and there's these beaten paths through all these countries, and people come to Thailand these days, and they think there's nothing left to explore. Mm-hmm. It's all been done. It's not true. I mean, it doesn't take much to go to somewhere where virtually no foreigners ever visit.
All you got to do really is know the words for sleep. Like, where can I sleep? And
use
food.
Your hands
exactly. I
face,
did that. We were in Myanmar, did that in some restricted area. Nobody told us you can't go there.
Yeah.
And we started giving the sign for sleep, and they all stared at us and pointed to it like,
the police
a hotel. Yeah, but when we got there, they were just like, would not check us in.
Yeah.
We had to get a translator on the phone from somewhere, and they're like, she was like, no, you can't. You're not allowed here. Foreigners aren't allowed here.
Yeah.
We had to like fill out forms to like take it to the minister of the town to like get an exception.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And they let you stay.
Yeah, but I like that just miming out sleep.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, sure. I mean,
I played like, but we already came from the south. I can't go back. I played like such like a poor little.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, one day, then get out. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah, that must have been cool times to be a traveler.
It was. It was also with the hill tribes back then. They were so traditional. It's like for the previous 3,000 years or whatever, there was very little change. And it's all happened in the last 30, 40 years when there's, it's been more changes in 30 years than there has been in the previous 3,000.
Yeah.
So back then there was no roads. People were wearing their traditional clothes, doing their traditional lifestyle. The head man was some old guy. The spirit doctors were sort of up and active, and it was fantastic to be able to catch that last little bit of traditional life, which is disappearing all over the world.
All over.
Minority people these days, they've been suffocated by the majority.
We've seen Burma too.
It's like here, all hill tribe kids now go through the Thai education system, and
they're forced.
And schools are a culture killer for minorities. Once you start putting a whole generation of kids speaking, the majority language, like in Thailand is Thai, and they start losing their own language. Also, schools make you lazy. To become a traditional slash and burn rice farmer up in the hills here, you've got to do that since you're very young. If you come out of school after 16 and say, and your parents want you to go and help grow the subsistence rice up in the hills, you can't be fucked. You go, come on, man.
How?
That's too hard.
Like, conjugate a sentence. That doesn't help us here.
They'd rather go and get a job than buy the rice. So it's, more than anything, I think the schools are the ones that really hasten cultural change and sort of break down communities in a way. Because, these days, some of the young kids, they can't find work back here. They're not going to go out and, slave their guts out for a bowl of rice on the table every day. And they can't even stay in the villages. So lots of villages are becoming like old people and the grandkids that the kids have dumped with them as they're off working somewhere.
And then once you like start getting jobs, now you're relying on other people for your living instead of just doing it for yourself.
Yeah. It's a huge change, and that's the way it's become. Fortunately, in our village, because the cave became a popular tourist attraction, and every house is involved. There is work here. It's good work here. They can make more money here or live a lot better off than they can in the town.
So that's the industry here. It's
tourism. It's tourism.
Right.
And they've done extremely well. I mean, they're the envy of all other villages in our district. There's people build nice houses here, and they've got lots of spare time. They own.
It's a weird natural resource. It's a very strange natural resource because there's nothing really there to mine.
Yeah.
Except like the experience.
It's like any sort of tourist attraction, or a natural tourist attraction, and it's great that the community can make a living out of it. They work as the guides and have the bamboo rafts in the cave. It was years ago. There was a couple of old guys come up. We started getting this lantern guide thing together with the villagers, and a couple of old guys said, well, is there any way we can make some more money out of the cave? And I said, make a bamboo raft. and now there's like 140 bamboo rafts clogging the cave down
bouncing off each other.
It's so. But they did really well out of that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, two or 3 years ago, the big bamboo around here, it's some of the biggest bamboo in the world. It's sort of thicker than a big guy's thigh, sort of thing. Which is what they're making the rafts out of. It went into flower. Now, different species of bamboo, maybe 15 years, 30 years, 60 years or whatever, the entire species will go into flower.
What does that mean?
It means it dies.
Really?
Yeah, it flowers then dies. So all the big bamboo in our district a couple of years ago died. And so now this year they're using the last little bits of the dried stuff they can still salvage, and a couple of different other species, but it's been really tough. So in the next few years, they're not sure what they're going to make their rafts out of, because after it flowers, it sprouts again, but it takes many years to get back to the full size again.
What are they going to use, like plastic shape, like bamboo
PVC
shaped.
pipes, maybe.
Yeah, color it like a bamboo.
Yeah, they could. They're not really sure, to tell you the truth. It's a bit of a dilemma, but they'll figure it out.
It's a wonder plant. Those bamboo.
Oh, bamboo. Amazing.
It's hollow and strong as fuck.
Yeah,
All the bridges are made out of that. And
Yeah.
just like, how is this thing up? It's so long.
There's, the list of things you can do with bamboo. There's thousands of things. And,
But then I saw, I forget his name, not Ong, but the guide helper. And he saw a piece, and I saw him chop it down with his machete, real fast, real easy, light enough to chop it.
Yeah. Well, that is an interesting thing. In prehistoric times, the people around here, they made their stone tools from river stones.
Yeah.
And so they just get one stone and just bash around the side of it. They get a nice hard stone like basalt or quartzite, and they get a sharp edge on it. Then they probably hafted it, because all they really needed was anything that could chop bamboo. So their technology developed on bamboo, not on stone. It wasn't like, all those poor people like the Native Americans who had to develop all these different little arrowheads and sharp little bits and this and that. These guys didn't need that. Because as soon as you could chop a piece of bamboo and split it, you can do absolutely anything.
So sharp.
Yeah, you've got your water containers. You can make, you can get a bit of dry bamboo and just split it open, and that's a super sharp knife. You can cut open meat with it. You can hunt with it. You can
build
It
homes.
has that, flexible properties, so you can make traps and bows and arrows, that sort of stuff with it. It's super straight, and it's just an amazing material.
Yeah.
You eat it, eat the bamboo shoots.
So you're like, what's in my meat?
You cook inside it, piece of green bamboo. You can boil water, stew, bamboo shoots. Or whatever
bamboo
in
chicken's
there.
so good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you get here 30 years ago. You're just like, hey, do you mind if I just pull up
Yeah,
put down roots here?
Sort of with my girlfriend, we knew the locals. We talked to the head man, talked to a few of the old people, and said, "Hey, is it okay if we just grab this little bit of land here and put a fence around it?" And so, what are you going to do? And one old guy says, "Oh, they're probably missionaries or something going to try and convert us all to Christianity." I said, "No way, man."
You don't seem very religious.
You can kick us out. You can do whatever, If anyone becomes a Christian,
Like, please kick them out.
Yeah. It's okay. You're safe. As you know, they're pretty devout Buddhists in our village. So they said okay. So we did it, and I actually bought an old Land Rover. I had a good friend,
Really?
Paco Grande, he's a blind photographer. He had tunnel vision. He could see 3%.
Whoa.
And so he'd take photographs on a wide-angle lens, and then he could look later at the photographs of the scene.
Yeah.
He could really have a scan the whole scene and see it all. So, but he was taking black and white, wide-angle lens photos. Great stuff. We took him trekking on 10-day treks a few times. It was a bit like he'd follow
Put his hand on your shoulder?
Yeah, that sort of thing, or white shoes in front of him. We took him trekking in Nepal once. It's like,
Really?
Yeah, for a Helambu trek. We got lost in the snow one night and had to sleep in a goat hut, and it was snowing, and it's a bit like, "Hey, Paco, keep left. There's a
cliff.
1,000-metre bloody drop off the right or whatever." Anyway, Paco was once married to Jessica Lange, who was the actress in the first King Kong movie.
Uh-huh.
And they sort of had a split after King Kong or whatever, and he got a bit of a divorce settlement, so he had a little bit of money. And so we borrowed, it was about $2,000 back then to buy this decrepit old Land Rover, which is all we owned back then. And we just used that thing to go out into the bush and cut bamboo. And, I'd probably chop more bamboo than any white person that's ever lived over the years. Because our whole house was once, all the floor was bamboo. You'd chop it, you'd split it and stick it on the Land Rover and drag it
back.
Drag a few logs from Hill Tribe Fields or whatever, and put this thing together, started to resemble a house, and it was great. It's still standing.
So you built a one structure first, and then added on from there?
We had a tiny little bungalow which we lived in first, and then we started building this main house here. Yeah, after we got some locals to help build the first bungalow. And then Dave, a friend, and I built another bungalow sort of following what they did.
Yeah.
And then we thought, we can build anything now. We can just need longer poles and longer pieces of wood and longer bits of bamboo to make it a bit bigger. So it's
you got the blueprint down?
Yeah, back then, to build a house, you'd use a hatchet, maybe a saw if you had one, and a little digging stick to dig a hole in the ground to put the poles in.
Damn.
That was about it.
Solid enough. How long till you can start making like a living money wise, or how did you eat at first?
It all happened really fast. We lived very frugally for the first few months, and as soon as we had the main house finished, I think we went and dragged some tourists off the highway. Said, "Hey, you got to come and stay at our place."
Really? That's how you did it?
Yeah, and then go and tell some other people. and so back then, we were charging them about $1 a night or something. So, but for $1, we could buy 4 boards or whatever. So every tourist would come, we could add a few more boards onto the house.
Start looking like in those cartoons where whenever it's hungry and they turn into a chicken leg, they turn into like pieces of wood.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So it all, and then that word of mouth, it really took off. Within the first few months, and back then there was a road, but everybody walked in. It was a long walk in from the highway, so. It was 9 kilometres, so people had come and stay a while. They couldn't be bothered walking back out.
Yeah. Even now, it's like, there's nothing around. I mean, there's a little bit around, but not really. It's like, I'm good here. Just got the river there and the path over there.
Yeah. So, and back then we thought we'd do it hill tribe style. People would just sleep around the fire on the floor in the main house. And it was only after a year or two that people started saying, "Hey, you guys got a bungalow? We're a couple," and that sort of stuff. And we go, "Bungalow? Come on!" One big happy family. Yeah. So we started building bungalows, and we've had our ups and downs. There's been many dramas over the years, as you can imagine.
Like what? What do you mean? Have you ever been in like fights or stabbings out here? Like people getting
murdered?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh, this was. It's a bit of a long story, but back in 87, late 87, there was all these sort of incidents that things were going from bad to worse sort of thing. We had a guest here who was an Aussie guy, and it turns out he's a paranoid schizophrenic, and he tried to take his life a few times by eating all his pills in one go. And so I had another guest staying with us there, Bruce, this young guy, and Paul he did it a couple of times. And so that was going on. This guy who was totally paranoid of everything and didn't want to live anymore. And then some of our staff had an affair, and the girl got pregnant, and then she went down to Chiang Mai to get an abortion, but turns out she's already 6 months pregnant, and the doctor aborted her anyway.
Whoa.
And then the baby when the time was up, the baby was supposed to be born stillborn, but it didn't. So I've got the old Land Rover racing down to Chiang Mai on dirt roads to try and get her to a hospital and then she starts to give birth, and this
to an aborted baby.
Yeah, and then this thing is born alive. And it's it's horrible, man. So there's all this sort of shit happening, and then
do you get your money back for an abortion if it doesn't take?
The doctor, it was actually a doctor in a hospital who did the abortion, just sort of broke the bag and let the waters come out and said, the baby's going to die in there, which of course it will probably die and rot, but it was pretty horrible.
Oh,
anyway,
damn.
So all this sort of shit's happening, and then so we're taking Paul, this guy, down to Chiang Mai one time to get some more psychiatric pills because he'd already swallowed, the ones he already had, trying to kill himself, and we're driving back, and that's right. Just before that, there was another Aussie guy who'd fallen on his head inside Tumlot. We used to rent out these little carbide lights to our tourists, and he was climbing way up inside some place with another group of Australians, and he slipped and fell down about 7 or 8 metres down rocks on his head and split his head open.
Those rocks are sharp and hard.
Yeah, they're hard. Anyway, so he's sort of covered in blood and mud inside the cave, and we went up and sort of extracted him out, and I had to drive him down to Chiang Mai too, and he's sort of, they got a really good neurosurgeon in there and stitched up his head and took the blood clots off his brain, and took a big flap off his skull, did the whole thing, did a great job. But we're driving back at the police checkpoint before Pai, and the police say, "Oh, I heard one of your foreigners has died up there at the lodge." I said, no, he just fell on his head, he's okay, And then we didn't sort of think anything about it until we're almost at the lodge here, and one of our staff's in this pickup truck full of cops with M16s and stuff racing out. They flag us down and says, one of the guests, the girl, has been murdered. I go, what? We knew nothing about. There's no phones, nothing back then. So it was just like a total shock. And sure enough, yeah, she'd been down to the exit of a cave with her boyfriend, and they were in the evening. There's about 300,000 cave-adapted swifts flying to the exit of the cave, and she was down there. They walked through the cave. She was wet. She was cold. Said she'd go home early, and her boyfriend Peter was the last. Her name was Eva, and she just disappeared for the next few days. And all the guests, the staff here, were frantically looking for her all over the place. And eventually,
Peter's just calmly eating soup.
Peter was freaking out. And eventually they found a body a bit further down from the cave. She'd been injected with heroin, raped, strangled with a jungle vine, and the body just left out in this creek bed. And then things got pretty intense, because there was this bloody murder around, and I assumed it was one of our villagers, and we actually thought we knew who it was, the assistant headman, who was a super aggressive, very unfriendly, didn't really like us or us making, he'd someone come and complain, how come you're making money off tourists and I'm making nothing? Because you didn't do
anything
all,
to
you don't deserve
any groundwork.
money.
What do you mean?
It was just an asshole. But anyway, so we were convinced it was this guy, and then he started doing things like coming down to the front of our place here with a 5-shot shotgun, sort of cocking, going out the front and sort of intimidating us and stuff. I think he was trying to scare us out so he could take over the business. I don't know really what the motive was, but we felt it was directed towards us. So a lot of our staff, we started arming ourselves with all sorts of illegal weapons and whatever we could get hold of, and sort of leave them lying around the house. And then eventually we got two cops with automatic rifles to sleep out the front of our place there, just for a bit of protection. And it got to the stage, it went on for months. It dragged on. The police chief was here every second day. One time they...
Trying to find out who it was.
Yeah, one time he came with a police chief from Mailson, the provincial police chief, to arrest me.
Really?
Yeah, because they'd found this bloody blanket covered in blood down near the cave. And they said, is this yours? I said, yeah, it was from bungalow number 11, and there's a bit of green string there too. Is this yours? I said, yeah, it was the old clothesline. And says, well, we found this by the cave. We come to arrest you for the murder of Eva. And I says, guys, you get a plot together. She was strangled. There was no blood. And I had to explain to him, that was Ian, the guy had fallen in the cave when we dragged him out of the cave.
Oh, yeah.
When we're throwing him into the back of the Land
They
Rover.
arrested you for the murder of her. You're like, this is going from bad to worse.
Yeah. So, we just chucked the blanket into the forest there and forgot about it until, a month later when the cops have found this new evidence. I was like, God, so the investigation was a little bit screwed up right from the start. They sort of invented a plot and then lost it. And anyway, eventually, there was all sorts of things. The Australian 60 Minutes team come over, right? It was a big story in Australia.
Because this girl went missing and she found up dead.
She was murdered, and there was all sorts of...
Yeah, it's a good story.
Good twists and things to it. So they came over for the story. They brought the father and sister. So I'm standing on the bungalow where Eva spent her last night at the lodge here. I'd actually never met Eva. And I'm translating with the police chief and her father. And the father says, if you ever catch the bastard that killed my daughter, tell me I want to come back and, kill him myself, as a really distraught father might say. And the police chief says, look, tell him man to man, don't worry, I'll do it for him. Okay, so I said, okay, I'm just a translator, I'll tell him whatever, And so then, months later, they
did they question all the guests at that point? Like
they were. They actually picked. There was another lodge down in the valley, and they picked up this French guy who was a bit suspicious. He was a junkie actually, and he'd come back. He'd gone to Pai, but he'd come back to a local Lahu village to buy some heroin, and the police found him and caught him and thought, well, he might be the one with the heroin who injected the girl and all the rest. But I went down for the interrogation as a translator, and I knew within 30 seconds it wasn't him. He had no idea. He didn't even know the girl had died or how she'd died or anything. And, he says, a junkie, a rapist, they don't sort of do that. They sort of lose their libido and all the rest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there was a few sort of misleads, and eventually there's this one-eyed Burmese heroin addict who used to work with us, actually. He was a nice guy, spoke English. They picked him up and interrogated him, and he said that it was the assistant headman that did it. He was sort of... He did supply the heroin for the injection to inject her. She probably would have died of an overdose if she wasn't, strangled anyway. And he says it was the assistant headman and a couple of other guys. And so the cops arrested 2 guys, and the assistant headman fled into Burma, and I think the Shan State Army brought him back from
they're
Burma.
Connected, right? The army's here and there.
They just talk to each other.
Yeah.
Says, hey, we've got this guy over there we want. Can you bring him over? So he did, and the locals in another village, Melanar, saw him being handcuffed and put into the back of a police car to come to Soppongto, about 12 kilometres or something, and he never made it. He died with gunshot wounds to the back of the head, I think. So I was sort of thinking maybe as the police chief keeping his promise that a bit of extrajudicial murder there to...
Damn.
So we never really found out, or there's never really a satisfactory conclusion to the whole thing. But
the police chief wouldn't have been like, yeah, he admitted it, so I just took care of it. He just didn't say anything about it.
Eventually there was some lawyers, counsel or whatever, took up the case of the wife of the dead assistant headman, and I think he had paid some sort of compensation or paid his way out of it. But eventually he was promoted. He ended up becoming a provincial police chief, and he's retired now. And John Min, the one-eyed Burmese addict, the police chief ended up getting him to work for him on his farm down south of Chiang Mai, and he eventually died of AIDS or whatever. So, we never really found... We assumed that the police got the right guy. Yeah. There was no trial, obviously.
Yeah.
and that was a one-off. It's nothing like that's ever happened again.
Wow.
Though before that...
So what, Peter lost track of her at the entrance of a cave and then just assumed she'd come back?
Yeah, she said she was going to go back alone to the guest house. She was cold and wet, and she never made it back to the lodge. He came back. He was obviously freaking out, racing around all over the place. It took him a couple of days before they found the body, and he was totally distraught. She was a theatre director. She was on an Australian government scholarship to go to her parents' country, Poland, to do some theatre work over there. She was on her way. They were a great couple, apparently. Peter was a real nice guy. Like I said, I never met either, but very sad. So, yeah, I mean, this shit has happened. But, that was a long time ago. We've had, junkies OD here as well.
Really?
But that was 20, 30 years ago. There was a lot of that shit around. These days, you don't see drugs around here.
It's kind of sad. What what was the drug scene like then, and what is the drug culture out here?
Back then, up in the hills, all the hill tribes are growing opium. So there was half the men in most villages were opium addicts. Sometimes all the men,
Really?
all the older men anyway, were opium addicts.
Functioning
village.
opium.
Oh yeah, they were functional because the problem with those sorts of opiates is that they're not really that bad for you, in that you can maintain a sort of healthy lifestyle, and if particularly for opium, if you and your family are growing it, you've got enough to get you through the year. You can except for staying up for half the night smoking opium all night to get, you get your 60 or 90 pipes or whatever in. You can lead a normal life. So the head man, the spirit doctor, all the respected elders are all opium addicts. So it was very accepted sort of part of old person's life. People get old, they start hurting, they get problems, this and that, they smoke opium, they feel good, and they die blissfully, sort of thing. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
And they, back then they didn't even know their opium was being processed into heroin, and
that's how you make heroin? Take the opium and make it.
Yeah, it goes from opium 10-1 to morphine, then they mix some other shit with it and make heroin.
Did you ever do heroin? You ever do heroin?
No.
I'm so scared of it, but it's the only one I'm intrigued by.
When I was in Chiang Mai, that 7 years when we were doing trekking, we were living with heroin dealers in a guest house there. They were Chinese Kuomintang, children of ex-Chinese Kuomintang soldiers who used to run the opium heroin trade.
Yeah. And
they were selling it to white male junkies who'd come over and and stick about 4 ounces up their ass in condoms or whatever and go home and inject half of it, sell the rest, and 1-2 months later they're back again for some more.
Wow.
So we saw that for 7 years, and we saw so many bad cases, guys who were like all their veins were just scarred and fucked up, and all their chest was just burns from cigarettes that dropped out of their mouth after they droop and
jacked out.
You sort of wake up when your chest hairs
Those are weird
burning,
scars.
There was people overdosing, dying in that guest house too, and there was police corruption, and there was the cops would come around and raid the place every day.
This place?
No. They
back over there.
Yeah, back in Chiang Mai in the guest house. Yeah. So anyway, it was a pretty miserable scene. But it was big back then in the 70s, late 70s. Chiang Mai was a bit of like the heroin capital of the Golden Triangle, and so there was a big export centre for small time dealers.
It wasn't illegal, was it?
Oh yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why the cops come every day, because they could take the junkies down to the bank and get them to change all their travellers' checks and let them go.
Then release them. What's your max you can withdraw? Why don't you go ahead and do that?
That sort of thing. So since then, with the whole, the Thais had a very, very slow crop substitution type program. They knew if they just went out and banned all opium growing, the hill tribes would be pretty stuffed.
Plus, they're fucked.
There was probably people making money out of it as well. I'm sure they were. So there was very, very slowly they weaned the hill. Well, the hill tribes basically weaned themselves off growing opium.
They transferred to something else, right? Some other crop?
Well, there's the
poppy or something?
Poppy. No, a cabbage, maybe. Cabbage and carrots, That's something that starts with C, cauliflower, and a few beans and things. But no, they particularly some of the tribes like the Hmong, there's lots of Hmong in the States who, after the Vietnam War, or the American War, sorry, in Laos and Vietnam. The Hmong, really industrious tribes like that did really well. They started growing commercial vegetables, and they're the commercial vegetable farmers of Thailand now, and they're making more money than they ever made out of opium.
Really?
They were sort of ripped off big time with their opium crop.
So, nobody comes in to steal corn.
Yeah. So now the big thing is amphetamines. It's huge, and our district, being a border district, is a transit sort of district for amphetamines, which are produced by rebel army groups just across the border.
In Myanmar?
Yeah, in Myanmar, War Army and some Shan and all the rest, and there's massive amounts of pills, and these pills are brought in sometimes by little caravans of guys with backpacks. There's no more mules like they did with the opium and heroin back in the days. It's now backpack
pills are so small.
Yeah,
you get a backpack full of pills. That's so many pills.
Yeah, they get about 50,000 or something in one backpack.
Yeah,
and so anyway, the Thai army's up there, the border patrol police, army rangers, and they do things like they plant claymore mines in the paths out here. They've blown up a few groups of pill backpackers.
Really?
Yeah, one group, 6 Lisu guys, they blew the shit out of them, and then more recently, there was
Damn. So they're just like walking along, transporting their illegal pills, and just go off like in a war.
Oh yeah. Well, the cops are they're remote controlled claymore mines, so they just press a button, the thing pops up and sprays out all these pellets, and then the.
Well, they see them from far away.
They see them. Sometimes it's all set up. They know they're coming, or they maybe have an army sort of insider with them, who will say, "Okay, we've just here." He tells the guys, "I'm going to get out and get some water down the creek."
Stop my shoes.
And radios them and says, "Okay, they were here. Come and do it."
Okay, so it's not like they trip up anybody who happens to be walking by. They're only against specific people.
It's not that sort of mine where you tread on and it blows up. It has to be activated. Those other mines are illegal, and Thailand wouldn't do anything like that, of course. There's none of them, but there's a hell of a lot of mines along the Thai-Myanmar border. Right?
Yeah.
There's more than most people think. And that they're the illegal ones that all the different rebel
groups
have put around their bases and things like that. Because we're only 15 kilometres away. We've got the headquarters of the Shan State Army up here.
Shan Myanmar or Shan Thai?
The Shan Myanmar, yeah.
Yeah, they're still the ones fighting the fight.
Yeah, they've been fighting for 60 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Along with the Kurans and the Kachins and every other little, rebel group over there. That's pretty sad.
It's weird because the Shan Shan State Army made peace with the National Army, but then the rebels were like, well, now we're fighting both you.
They've signed different sort of peace agreements. The last couple of national days up in the Shan State headquarters up here, there's been Burmese soldiers there too.
Yeah.
And so there's no real friction right there at the moment, but in the northern Shan State, there's still fighting going on. Yeah, and with the Kachins as well. There's a lot of mistrust.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's another story, the whole thing there. But the big thing now is amphetamines, and there's Thailand's. They have their drug war. A few years ago, 10 years ago, where they had Thaksin as the prime minister. He had a drug war, and there was at least 3,000 citizens sort of gunned down by. Well, they said they were rival drug gangs silencing each other, but it was authorities.
Was the army?
Really, yeah, the army,
like in the Philippines, what they're doing there?
Yeah, it was basically the same thing.
That's
and
scary.
Our headman was shot in the back of the head.
Really?
In our village here, and other headmen.
Just because he was using?
No, he was suspiciously wealthy. So they didn't have really the evidence to bust him. So they just went and collected these people. They call it collection. They just went and shot them. So there was thousands. That was very scary at that time because often people had died in the middle of the night with a rain of automatic weapon fire or whatever along a road after being called to a meeting somewhere or something like that. But our headman was shot in the Shan temple in Chiang Mai in front of his family.
In the back of the head.
Anyway, so that was part of the drug war, but
I've gotten way off of caving, but go ahead.
Yeah, caving. Right. Sometimes hide the drugs in caves. We fortunately haven't found any. I don't really want to run into someone.
Oh yeah, but that would be a good hiding place. So dark.
Yeah, well, they did it in one of the villages near us. A cave that I'd actually been to before. They had a whole lot of heroin in there, but I don't want to meet that sort of stuff. It's too dangerous.
Yeah. Dude, if I found a stash of heroin like that, I'd be like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. It's like run into a bear cub. It's like, there's some danger coming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You ever taken any sort of psychedelics and gone into one of those caves? Turn the lights off for a few hours?
No, actually. When I was young, there was always a bit of magic mushrooms and stuff and this and that around, and I've often thought about it. That those things don't really grow around here, but
I heard the elephant farms have them.
Possibly, yeah.
Talk to the elephant farmers. They were like
around Pai, yeah.
Yeah.
There are some growing around there, yeah, because they usually they grow out of cow shit or whatever, but
yeah.
But no, I caving. It's a sort of sport or activity where you really want to have your wits about you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to sort of think, hey man, let's turn the lights out and see how far we can get and that sort of shit.
Bash your fucking skull open.
Yeah.
Turns out not far.
Yeah. It's best to sort of do that sort of thing straight if you can.
Yeah, it is weird, but you gotta they're beautiful. So I've done two, Tam Long Hu and Tam Long. What's the top left one on that board?
Nam Lang or
Nam Lang.
Yeah.
And they're gorgeous, but like your face is on the ground almost the whole time.
Yeah.
Then you got to stop and look around. But like any step, you're looking where you're stepping.
That's one of the wonderful things about caving, in that it's such a different alien environment. It's another world down there. Mm-hmm. So it's very absorbing in that you're concentrating on the rocks, on the beauty, on each step or whatever, and you totally forget about the outside world. It's a great way to escape. And if it's a really grueling caving trip, some cavers say, hey, the best part about caving is coming out.
Yeah.
If it's a really grueling trip, and it's been hard in there and you've pushed yourself and you've been, concentrating for so long, you get out and, actually the smell of the rotting leaves in the forest, it's so intense.
It's a different smell.
Deprivation is a great way to appreciate things. So the world's not such a shitty place anymore.
Rotting leaves is suddenly a good thing.
I'm alive. It's great. Wow, look at this, beautiful nature. So yeah, it's it's a bit of everything. There's a bit of deprivation. There's a little bit of fantasy down there. It's and the whole exploration thing. If you go somewhere where even it doesn't. You don't have to be the first person in a cave. It's just the first time you've been in a cave. Wow, what's around the next corner? Let's keep going. Wow, look at that thing there, and look how that's growing. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, they have all these. It's almost like rock flowers, where it's like, oh, this one's orange, this one's white. That one's growing up, that one's growing down.
Yeah. There's a huge variety of formations, and that's one of the. I really love pretty caves. Like adventure caves. Do some crawling. Go do a bit of vertical or whatever. It's all good fun. But if you do that and then you find some chamber, particularly if that you're the first person to ever see it, because caves are they're the last frontier. Everywhere on the surface of the earth, the surface under the ocean, even they can map it, they can measure it, you can see it.
Yeah.
But caves are There's no way of saying if a cave's there or how far it goes. It's all unpredictable. You can guess where okay, there's a stream going in here, coming out there. There's obviously going to be a cave, but
that's how you find it. If you see like there's a river going or a stream going, and I see it there, it stops in the middle. There must be
because the limestone around here is a couple of 100 million years old. So the water table's obviously been going down because we're part of the Himalayas. So the rocks are also rising with the tectonic plates. They're sort of running into each other. So it's a millimetre or so every year or whatever. The Himalayas are rising, and we're on the foothills of it. So. Yeah, and the water table is dropping down through this limestone. So some of the really old caves are high up in the hills, and they've got nothing to do with water anymore. They're just caverns that are dry caverns that, they might have prehistoric coffins in them or whatever. Or there could be anything in there. But the active stream caves, if you get a good 1 to 50,000 map or Google Maps or whatever, and you have a good look where that water's going, because in limestone areas, the water is generally sinking into closed depressions. It's not like a valley that just flows down to the ocean. It'll sink underground.
Right.
And so it's often you can see where it's going in. It's sometimes harder to see on a map where it's coming out again. And often where it's going in, it could be blocked because of rockfall or debris or whatever blocking the entrance. Often where it's coming out, it's easier to get in, not necessarily. So it's, following just where the water's going is a really important way of.
So that's what you do. Where you just like, I think there might be a cave here. I'm gonna go looking. I can see the.
Yeah. Sometimes it's local information. Locals say, we know where there's a stream coming out over here, or I was out hunting and I saw this big cave up here or there. There's a bit of that, and otherwise it's just go around, walk around the limestone.
Yeah,
sure to find something every day.
That's what you do.
Yeah. I'll probably go out later today.
So describe. Okay, so you're walking along in the woods because actually both of them you come to. It's like a hike, from any sort of road.
Yeah.
There's no reason to go there unless you're going towards a cave. So before there is one, you really got to check through an unknown. And then you come across a hole. Describe your feeling as a cavist. I don't know what the word is.
They call them cavers.
Cavers.
Or in America, they got this filthy word called spelunking. Which doesn't sound right. But anyway, I think most people prefer to be called cavers.
It sounds way tougher.
Or something like that.
Sounds way tougher.
Yeah.
So you get awesome, I'm going to go get a torch, come right back? Or what do you do?
Usually if I'm walking out there, I already have a torch with me. Yeah.
Okay.
So, go and have a look if you can get in. If you can't get in, you need ropes. You can come back later. But if you can walk in, just go for it. And then you just sort of, hopefully you're with somebody else. Because though I do often go on short bits into caves, but it depends. Because often when I'm walking, nobody knows where I am. And if something happens in a cave, they'll never find me.
Break your leg,
so
can't get back out.
You've got to be a bit careful.
Yeah.
And, it's very hard to stop. If it's easy and keeps going, it's really hard to stop. But if it gets really tricky, you might think twice. Need a bit of backup or whatever. This needs an expedition or something like that. But basically, it's exciting.
Yeah,
you're going somewhere where you've never been before, and possibly nobody's ever been before.
There's no road set up.
No.
Even just like, do I wade through the stream here, or do I climb the rocks to get over? Like, it's just like guessing.
Well, it's great, huh? We're humans. We're really capable and go anywhere we want.
Yeah. Have you ever broken a leg down there or anything?
No, we've had people who we've taken have broken legs down there. One guy died too. Anyway.
What? Really?
Yeah.
How?
Yes,
How?
There's a lot. He fell off a waterfall. Slipped.
Underground waterfall.
Yeah, 30 metres down. died instantly.
Really?
That was hard, getting his body out, yeah.
Damn.
That was really hard. Yeah, another guy broke his leg, took us about, is only in about 1.5 kilometres, took us about 11 hours to get him out. And
carrying him?
Yeah, makeshift.
Falling?
A hessian bag and a couple of bits of bamboo and dragging him and pushing him and cajoling him. And
him screaming probably, like, you're hit it again.
He was tough. He was an Australian vet. Lots of Australians.
A lot of Australians.
Yeah, shit happens. Maybe they think I'm an Australian and they're in nice, safe hands over here. Little do they know that they're on their own.
It's bat country. That bat shit is slippery as hell.
Yeah. There's people don't take due care. Yeah, but no, I've cut my leg open and had a few little accidents in there, but nothing that's sort of stopped me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is there any worry about animals that are going to attack you down there?
Near the entrance, there could be snakes. But that was one reason why the prehistorics never went in there, because there used to be tigers and bears and snakes, and why would you go in there?
Yeah.
And spirits, they're scared of cave spirits. But I've never seen I've seen actually tiger prints in the entrance of a cave down west of Bangkok once.
Really?
That was pretty exciting.
Fuck.
And no, inside the caves, once you pass the entrance, there's basically nothing in there that you have to worry about. Yeah.
Bats never attack you?
No.
You never get bit by a bat?
No, they don't bite. Or maybe if you really trap them, but they're also extremely good at avoiding you. Even in small passages, they will miss you.
It's amazing when you're like walking along and one flies by your face by less than a foot.
Yeah, exactly. You feel the breeze as they flash by. Yeah.
God.
Yeah, bats are amazing. That's the accuracy of their
sonar.
Echolocation sonar thing is incredible. They can catch tiny little insects and just take the bodies and drop the wings, sort of thing. Little termites come out of the ground. You get these showers of wings sometimes in the evening as the bats are coming around.
They just get the bodies out.
Yeah, they just like the bodies.
That's where the meat is.
Yeah, bats are incredible little critters.
Yeah. You ever see that insect? We saw one. It's about that long. It's got these pinchers in the back and it's got wings. And Ong kept hitting it so if it's let's say it's this long, the pincher's here, and he kept hitting it on the wings, and the pinchers would try to come around to hit him. That wide, that long.
It's a figment of the imagination,
No, we saw it. We saw it. You're gonna ask him. We saw it. Somebody took a picture.
I'll go and ask him. What sort of?
He was playing with it for a while.
Wings. Wow, sounds like a centipede with wings.
It seemed like that. The body was like a kind of a larvae type body. And then, there was longer wing and head.
Yeah.
And we saw a dead one with fungus growing out of it, too, afterwards.
Alien.
It looked alien as hell, man. The stuff down there is so weird looking. It couldn't have wandered in. It was deep in there. Anyway, sorry. So the snakes aren't a problem, really? Are they poisonous out here?
No. There's poisonous snakes outside the cave. The ones in the cave are racers. They're cave adapted. They bite, but they're not venomous, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw one the other day, a cave racer, 7 meters long.
7 meters?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Damn.
It was a cave adapted racer. One of the longest
7
in
meters
the world,
long.
for sure.
What is that, from here to that plant over there?
Yeah. Oh yeah, at least. It's from this post to this post it's 5 meters. So it's from that post there to this one here.
Damn. Whoa.
It was actually one of the longest snakes I've ever seen. It's longer than any pythons I've seen too.
Yeah.
And the racer is a python type snake.
How thick?
Anyway.
How thick does it get?
It wasn't that thick. It was only about my arm sort of size.
For that long?
Yeah, and it was really just super slender and long. Beautiful snake.
Could that kill you? If it wanted to?
No, they're no venom. Yeah, they just...
It couldn't constrict you or anything?
No.
Okay.
No.
Damn, I'd be frightened as hell of that long, that snake.
I saw it from a slight distance. I didn't get too close.
Oh,
actually.
all right. Yeah.
Being Australian, I'm really wary of snakes.
Oh, yeah. You guys have everything that can kill you, right?
Yeah.
You ever eat bat or anything?
Bat?
You must have tried it. You've never tried bat?
No.
Being around it for that long?
No, because the locals don't really eat it unless they're pretty dead. They used to eat the birds down by the cave too, but there's so little on them.
Yeah.
You got to barbecue it, pluck it, barbecue it, just scrawny little body. Then they smash up the bones, the head, everything with a bit of chili, that sort of stuff. So I've eaten squirrel, tiny little squirrels around here like that.
Yeah, I've seen those squirrels.
Yeah, it's all right. All you can taste is chili and salt, really.
Yeah, that's how the crickets are.
Something a bit bloody.
Tastes like deep
bony,
fry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Let's see what I wanted to say. Oh, you ever had torch burnout? Leave you down there in the dark?
No. I've come close in that I've been with one other friend. We got really fading torches, a couple of candles left, and we're exploring a new cave, and we're doing something silly, just sort of pushing it, hoping there's another end.
Oh. Hope you can come out instead of like half around.
Because it was getting to the point where we weren't sure if we had enough light to go back the way we'd come, which is a really stupid situation to put yourself in. But that's the thing. It was such a pretty nice cave, we couldn't stop. We said, let's just go around. And just the next corner. Look at this. Hey, it's still easy. It's still going. And then
like a cave junkie.
We're halfway through it, and we sort of see this light. We go, wow, man, yeah, hey, we found another way. We climb over all these rocks, get there, and it's this sky hole in the roof. There's no way you can get out. Just light coming in. We were freezing, so there was a bit of wood falling down. We lit a fire, and then we thought, now what are we going to do? We said, let's just push it, for just a little bit further. And we got to this point where it was really late evening and see the last little bit of light through this hole in the ceiling, but it's too small to get out. And so we had to sort of use rocks to open the hole a bit bigger. And we were worried the whole ceiling was going to collapse in on us.
Damn, yeah.
I sort of lifted my friend up, and he managed to get out, and he pulled me out, and by then it was dark outside and we didn't know where we were anyway, so but we got back about 4 a.m. or something after bush bashing and guessing the path, and it was great
that must feel good
chaos,
getting out and then finding your way home, and then you're like, let's just get a beer and then
that was great, and it's a really nice cave. I've been back there a couple more.
Which one is that?
It's called Doi On. It's way up it's up very high. It's at about 1,200 meters, so quite cold up there. And beautiful cave, and it's a through one, yeah. I took a few guests up there a year or two after that, and we sort of got lost again, and we had girls freaking out and crying and this and that.
It's a challenging one if it keeps beating you.
I'm going to have to take a break and
go
to
sure.
the bathroom.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Yeah, pause. No problem. Boom, we're back. How was your pee?
Good.
Feels good when you got a long one and you're like, really got to let it go.
It was more than a pee.
Oh. My friends, when I go back home, they asked me like about bathrooms and stuff. Yeah. And I was like, you can avoid the squats if you don't have diarrhea. They're like, do you ever have diarrhea? I'm like, I only have diarrhea.
Really?
It's just a question of scale. How much?
Yeah.
Do you worry about carbon monoxide poisoning at all in these things?
No, it's not carbon monoxide. It's you do get bad air in some caves, and that's basically a build-up of carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide.
And it replaces the oxygen. So you get very low oxygen in some caves, and I've had a couple of near-death experiences in caves around here, because caves can breathe. It's to do with the barometric pressure outside the cave. So sometimes when the temperature difference is basically inside and outside the cave, you get a wind blowing in one way or the other. Yeah. And so you can go into some caves where, hey, the wind's blowing in, the air's really good, and then when you're in there, it can change. And then it starts sucking out the bad air. And the bad air is caused usually by organic matter being washed down into the cave and rots in there and produces carbon dioxide. And if the cave has got like a sump, it has a place where the water blocks the passage or whatever, and there's no escape for the air, it sort of sits and builds up in there.
Like dead bats?
No. It's trees and leaves and bits and stuff like that usually, but also just in the whole process of cave formations, carbon dioxide is given off as well. As the carbon dioxide comes out of solution, the calcium carbonate builds up slowly and falls a formation. So there is a bit of natural carbon dioxide being produced inside the cave anyway, but it can get to really high levels. Like in the cave we took the BBC Planet Earth to film the waterfall climbing fish, it has 5...
Oh, you took them there?
Yeah.
Oh, that was you giving... Oh, okay.
Yeah. It has 5% CO2, pretty steady level. There's not much airflow in and out of the cave, so it's But 5%, that's 100 times more carbon dioxide than there is that we're breathing right now.
So can you breathe that?
Yeah, that's getting to the level where the oxygen was down to about 16, 17%, real high altitude stuff. It's sort of like, if you're sitting totally still, you can almost breathe normally, not quite. But if you're doing something, if you get above, CO2 goes above about 6%, you're dying pretty fast. So we had these like meters that are monitoring this stuff, the carbon dioxide and the oxygen, and they're sort of screaming, the alarms are going on. We eventually had to bury the things.
They're being too annoying.
So and we spent 6 days in this cave. Though we came out every day, but they're like 6 12-hour days in this really bad air, and that was just borderline. You could just survive. So there's good news for the human race. When the carbon dioxide goes up 100 times, we still might be. Oh, I got someone on the phone wants to talk with me. It's probably something. Nothing. Be back in. Okay, where were we?
The carbon dioxide. So was there any danger of just like passing out and then dying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
you could pass out. You can get a pretty instant headache, and you can really struggle to breathe. It's life-threatening. I was in another cave near here, also with blind fish in it, and same thing. On the way in, the air was okay. We're in about 600 meters.
Yeah.
It started getting really bad. We were gasping for breath, heaving, and just standing still.
Really?
And we had to get 600 meters out of this cave, and it was confusing. I'd only just been in that one time, and there was different passages, and we were crawling, and I was with 5 other people from the lodge here. I told them I was going to this cave. I heard it had bad CO2. Some French explorers had been in there, had blind fish. I want to take photographs. I said, we want to go. And I says, okay, at your own risk. And there could be anything in there. And when we're crawling out of the thing, just heaving for breath, all thinking we're going to die. And I got out with 2 guys, and then there was 3 of them still left in there. And we're up amongst the bamboo, way away from the entrance, which still had really bad air outside the cave at the entrance, sucking in oxygen. And then we thought, we'll wait 10 minutes. Then we got to do something. So I sort of hyperventilated, went back down again, and fortunately the other 3 people were just coming out. They were almost dead. Yeah, it was real touch and go.
Damn.
So you can die in vertical caves. It's really tricky because you can rappel down into this bad air, and before you have a chance to change over or get out of it, you're dying. But so we use a few things. Use your nose because it tastes sort of musty. You can really smell it.
So then once you smell it, you immediately like, let's get careful.
Then you get out your cigarette lighter, and if it's about 2 to 3%, the flame actually separates from the lighter. So there's a little gap between the lighter and the flame, which is up higher for some reason, and then after that your lighter won't light. You can't light a candle, it'll go out, and that's a good time to leave. You're still breathing, you can still breathe at that level, but now any time with bad air, I generally tend to get out of there sooner rather than later.
Who taught you this shit? Who taught you how to do that? Like
with the lighters, I don't know. I had lots of cavers over here over the years, and
passing on information
and this and that.
Yeah,
it's sort of all pretty logical stuff. It's like flames need oxygen.
Somebody tells you, like, makes sense. Yep.
They probably need a little bit more oxygen than we do.
Yeah. Yeah. How'd you get into caving in the first place? Were you always into it, or just like as you explore, you're like, what turned you onto it?
I think I just like. I try to figure that out. I think I really like discovery, That's whether it's, discovering sort of untouched tribes or nice places to walk or caves, and caves the ultimate in discovery. So, because, you can get into places where you're the first person there.
That's amazing.
There's things like, fossilized mud that's been there for the last 200,000 years, and you put a footprint in, and it's going to be there for another 200,000 years, and there's no footprints on it. Right. So I don't know. Hey man, you're the first. And you go back 30 years later, your original footprints are still there.
Like, I remember those shoes. Those old New Balances. I remember those. Yeah.
So there's that's pretty exciting. But I think the first big cave was actually Tumlot when we were out trekking, and then in Tumlot they had the prehistoric coffins in there too, which people thought they were left by spirits around here, and I thought, well, this is obviously some people who were here, God knows when, a long time ago. And then I started asking the locals, are any more of these caves around like this? And they said, oh yeah, there's one up near the border at such and such a village, and there's another one. And I sort of got a bit obsessed with finding these different coffin caves, hoping I'd find a completely untouched one that'd never been looted in prehistory or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think I found almost 90 of them now.
90 caves that you're the one
with
putting them on a map.
With coffins in them. Hundreds of caves.
No real record of them until you get there?
Yeah.
Damn, that's exciting as fuck.
Yeah, but they're prehistoric caves, caves with prehistoric stuff in it. And there's also caves with rock art too, finding stuff like rock art and
what is that?
Prehistoric art,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, rock art.
Yeah.
Sorry, Australian accent.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like caveman stuff.
Yeah,
lived there,
exactly.
then it got
10,
abandoned.
15,000 years ago. The coffins are about 1,500, 2,000 years old. They're teak, which is why they've lasted. But,
and left alone for that long.
Basically, some of them, pretty well untouched. Others have been looted maybe 700 years ago by other group of people. Who knows? But there wasn't much in them anyway.
Looted for what? Yeah, who knows?
Glass beads, maybe a few bits of metal objects that they could use. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that is exciting.
Yeah.
What'd your family say when you hey guys, turns out I'm not coming home or going to Europe? I'm going to live in Northern Thailand for a while.
For the first 10 years, I didn't have any money to go home, so I just lived over here. But my mother, my father came over. My mother came over before she passed away about 30 times. My father, who's now almost 97, he just left yesterday to go back to Australia.
Yeah.
He's been visiting every year.
Yeah.
And my brother, the family came over here, and they're all happy.
And your friends, what they like? What are you doing, John?
A few friends. It's sort of because for the first 10 years I didn't go back, and I sort of lost contact with a lot of them. I've had a few old friends who've come over and made so many new friends anyway. But,
right.
No, I don't think. There was nothing really outrageous I was doing over here. It was just sort of what happened, and my family's always been very tolerant and accepting.
It's not outrageous, but also sort of outrageous when you look at people's upbringing. Even me going on vacation to this place, people are like, "Really, Southeast Asia?" I mean, but living here in the 80s and 70s, they must have been like, "How are you going to survive? What do you mean you're going there?"
I was pretty tenacious, mate.
Yeah.
Find a way. Whether it was sort of trying to write articles for magazines or doing our hill tribe trekking. After that hill tribe trekking with my Thai girlfriend and I, we did that for 7 years, and I think we'd saved less than $1,000 after 7 years, which is what we had to invest in the guest house here.
All that money.
We had a good time, but it wasn't a money-making thing.
Save up $97 a year.
Yeah, something like that. But that wasn't really the point. I wasn't really here to make my fortune or anything. I was just enjoying life, and most of the time, I really just couldn't think of anything better to do, and.
I like that.
Once you start something like this, it's your little baby. It's very hard to leave. It's like anyone who starts a business and becomes successful and this and that. They often find they're sort of stuck with it. So it's a little bit hard to just give it up or hand it over to somebody else. It's like your own little baby.
You feel married to it like that?
Yeah, you sort of got to bring it up and look after it. And now it's sort of on its own legs. We're actually about to retire, so
really,
pass it on to some of our staff. We'll still be here, but
you're going to give it to them, like the people who have been here long enough. You're just going to invest them to.
Yeah. We're going to do a share thing with them, and they'll do well, I'm sure, and we'll be happy, and I can actually then finish my journey around the world, maybe.
Finally make it to Europe.
I can continue the travels.
Just a 35-year break.
Yeah, there was a little bit of hiatus there. I just had to check this place out a little.
You're like,
deeply.
Done now. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you want to do. You want to do more traveling.
No,
cool.
but I'm always going to live in this area. I couldn't really live anywhere else.
You still love it?
Oh yeah. I go out every chance I get. Go out for a walk around, have a look for a cave, walk along some cliff line. Because I'm into everything. We've had so many experts over the years. We've had, the blind fish guys, people looking for microscopic snails in caves, and we've had bat people here and other nature people, and then all the archaeologists and geologists and this and that. Just pick up so much from all these people that every little aspect, things. Years ago you just walk past stuff, you wouldn't notice it, but once just things like prehistoric habitation sites up on the ridges with stone tools. I spent years trekking and I never saw these things. But once you know what to look for, wow, they're everywhere. And burial grounds, and we got burial grounds from the Neolithic up on top of the limestone mountains around here. And once you know where they are and what they look like, it's easy to go out and find them. Whether it's rock art, a cave habitation site, any sort of prehistoric stuff, it's pretty easy to. I can go out and find a new spot every day if I really wanted to. There's so much out there. This was a good place to live. People have always lived around here.
That's pretty lucky to find something that, 3 decades in, you're still getting off on.
Oh, yeah. It's great. Yeah. There's always something new and exciting out there. Caves, it's the unknown. It's the great unknown. Yeah. Someone's got to do it.
I'd never done it before. I went to Luray Caverns in Virginia, on field trips.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
Nothing like these.
Yeah, wild caves, they're different, yeah.
Wild caves. Yeah, that's what
yeah. It's wilderness.
So you wrote a book about it, huh?
Yeah, Wild Times.
That's what it's called?
Yeah.
Wild Times?
Yeah. Actually, I haven't really got my act together with that, because I was going to sort of, make it a e-book and that sort of stuff, but so it's only for sale here at the lodge, the only place in the world, the hard copy.
Oh, really?
But it is through our website. You can get a PDF digital version.
And you won't mail it to people? If people pay for you to mail it to them?
Yeah, I probably could. The postage costs about the same as the book, so
double the price, I guess.
Yeah, it's still worth it.
How would they get it? What's the website? Cave Lodge? What is it?
Yeah, cavelodge.com.
Yeah, you can find it there.
Yeah.
It's amazing too, because you come from the rest of Thailand, where I was like, yeah, I want to come, and then I wrote. I guess you were gone taking care of your dad, but I was like, I want to come. They're like, yeah, just show up. You're cool. I was like, no reservation. No, I get it. You'll be there on Monday. Sure. We'll save a bed for you. Yeah. It's so relaxed.
Yeah. Oh, well, we've sort of avoided all the, the booking sites and all that sort of stuff because, I don't know, for several reasons. Often because when people try and book with us, it's not just they want to book a room. They've got 5 questions as well.
They're annoying then.
Yeah, they want to ask about, can we do this or that, or is there any malaria in your area, or what's the weather like at this time? But some people send us their life history and they just want to book a room,
You're like, fuck off, figure it out.
Yeah. So it gets a little bit too much sometimes, but that's all right, We're happy to have people come here and enjoy it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, man. It's great. You set up a really rad place there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for talking to me.
Pleasure.
All right. That is the episode, everybody. Did you enjoy it? Okay, I didn't do many of these podcasts from when I was gone. And here's the deal. If you're looking for me to give you a rundown of my whole trip, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to internalize it a little bit. I'm going to let it out little by little. I didn't go on that to put out product. I went on that for me. And I had a great time. So I'll talk about it. It'll come out because it's kind of part of who I am now. Don't forget to listen to Punch Drunk Sports every Tuesday. Live, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific, 2 to 4 Eastern. It's also on iTunes and everywhere else. Stitcher. I forgot all the places you go to get stuff. Thank you, ZipRecruiter.com, for sponsoring this. Don't forget, ZipRecruiter.com/skeptic. Right now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter.com for free by going to... Oh, so you go on there for free? So what do you even pay? What a good deal. If you work in HR, may as well do it. Skeptic. So anyway, I'm not going to release that much information. People ask me like, oh, did my interview with Henry Rollins make me do this? And the answer is no. I was already trying to do it. But the problem was I couldn't. I had too much responsibilities. If you listen to the end of that podcast with Henry Rollins, I have not. So I'm going off memory, which is way stronger now, my memory. I told him I wanted to see a show, and I was upset that I couldn't see it in Edinburgh. I think it overlapped with mine. And I didn't take a day off because I'm a warrior and not a fucking half a comic. I'm just joking. Almost everybody takes a day off. You probably should. By the way, this year, Sean Patton's going to be in Edinburgh. I'm not. I'm really, really, really sorry that I'm not. I'm really sad about it. But Sean Patton will be, and he's one of the best comics. He's coming back to do this. Not happening. So definitely put that on your itinerary to see Sean Patton. What was I going to say? So little by little. Oh, I know. So if you listen to the end of that Henry Rollins podcast, he goes, oh, well, if you missed my show here, you can see it at Largo in Los Angeles in December. And I said something along the lines of, oh, yeah, I think I'm going to be doing this already then. It was already in my head. I knew I was going to record my special, and I knew as soon as my special was over, I was going to take the fuck off. I did finish the special. I finished editing it. I still got to do another sound mix and another color pass at it. It wasn't quite up to my standards. And then, you'll see it soon. I'll get into that way later. But it was a great trip. So if you ever do make it to Sapong, and you make it to the Cave Lodge, God, it was fucking great. What a great place. I've forgotten about it. I haven't really thought about it in a couple months. I was there in, I guess, early February. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, it must have been around then. Early February. What is it now? March, April, May. 3 months ago. Oh, I miss it. If you make it there, some advice. There is a store in the main part of town which has these mesh type shoes. It's kind of like rubber with holes in them, like not Uggs, Crocs, kind of like Crocs. And you have to know your European size. I am a 46, but I can fit into a 45. And I bought the 45s because after the first day, I soaked my Merrells so bad that they were like, they wouldn't be unsoaked by the next day. Let them by the fire, obviously. They're soaked through. So I had to give them to the people to clean. They have cleaners there, by the way. They'll do your laundry for you at the Cave Lodge. They have good food. They have good some Western food. If you're into that, not me. I didn't eat Western food. No. One time I had a burger. Not there though. One time my whole trip I had a burger. But they have good food. Good Shan food from the Shan state. Good Thai food. Good Northern Thai food. They probably had khao soi chicken, good rice soup for the morning, and it was just great. So get those shoes, because then then it just soaks your socks, and you can dry those out real easy. And there's in the center of town, there's this lady. She's got red hair. She might not have it anymore because it's dyed, and she has some chicken on the grill. I don't know what she puts on them, but you can get a quarter chicken for I think just under $1. I think it was like 10,000 baht. Is it 10,000 or 10 baht? It's in thousands, right? Hold on, maybe I brought one home. Yeah, here's one. What is this? 20 baht. Yeah, so it was like 15 baht or 10 or 15 baht. I think 13 baht is $1. And fuck. I might be wrong about that. But whatever it was about 80 cents for a quarter chicken. And it's not the fucking American, pump full of shit chicken. It's small. It's a small quarter chicken. It's so fucking good though. And you get a bag of sticky rice with it if you want. I suggest go 2 quarter chickens, 1 bag of sticky rice. You're in a full meal. You're talking about $2.50. So definitely get that. So anyway, so now I'll say this. If you already heard it, I guess you can turn this episode off already. But there's a story I heard. I think it was from the caretaker that was there when John wasn't there, who was also so fucking cool. This other Australian guy. Oh, he was so cool. What was his name? I gotta look at my journal. What was his name? Okay. I just looked at my journal. I found everything. The guy's name is Tom. If he's there, if that guy Tom is there, fucking say hi to him for me. Great dude. Get him drunk. He's way more fun when he gets drunk. He's fun when he's not drunk, but he's way more fun when he gets drunk. Get some of those Changs, you guys. Those 20 ounces. The hikes I did was the Tom Nong Hu Cave. And then I think, where did I put it? Tom Nong Long Cave, I think, was the second one I did. I should have gone on another one. The quarter chicken, 2 for 40 baht each. 40 baht each. That's $1.16. $1.16 each. And those fucking wading shoes, those shoes for wading in, 100 baht. Fucking 250. No, something like that. 40, 80, 2, 25. Let's say $3. Anyway, so Tom told me this story of a guy. Oh my God, look at this. So I saved stuff in this journal, and occasionally I put flowers or leaves or something I found, and I put it in the pages. I found this little flower I found in the cave. This weird cave flower. It grows where there's no light. The only protein is from fucking... Jesus, what the fuck is that? Bat dung? What the fuck was that? What the fuck did my computer just do? Did I just get hacked? I probably did. I don't know what the fuck that was. Gotta throw this computer away. I found this little dried up now cave flower. Anyway, so Tom told me this story of this guy who was down in one of those caves one day, and is by himself, which no one our level should do, and his light went. Oh, I know what. He was working in a mine. That's what it was. It was just to express how dark caves are. He was working in a mine, and I was there January 31st, by the way. I just looked at the date too, so it wasn't even February. And his last one up, and his light went out, and he couldn't find his way out, and so he had to wait there. I mean, you can't. There's no feeling the cave along. You'll crack your skull 1,000 times over. So we had to wait for the weekend to be over. He had to wait there all weekend. It was Friday afternoon. He had to wait till Monday morning when more people came down in the mine. And on Monday morning, they found him standing there, and they said, "Hey, let's sit down." He goes, "What do you mean? I'm lying down." And they go, "No, you're not lying down. You're standing up." And he had been down there for so long with no sense of sight. What is that? What is open? That he couldn't tell what was up and what was down. He was going crazy. Whew, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Anyway, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Don't forget, May 27th at the Bell House. Get tickets now, $20. I have not made the lineup yet. It will be a good lineup because guess what? I always make great lineups for this not happening. You're going to have a great time. Just get the tickets. Maybe I'll just make it a surprise. If enough people just get tickets ahead of time right now, I'll just be like, no, I'm not allowed in the lineup. And I'll just bring them out. And then you'll be hit by one great comic after another. Some you know, some you'll find out. Yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm back. I'll be back next week with an American-style podcast. Episode 200 or 300 is coming soon with Danish and O'Neill. I might let them interview me about my trip. I might do that and get it all out then. We'll see. Or I might just let it out little by little, and I don't know. I had a great time. I was doing it for myself, and I really enjoyed it. If you're all thinking about it, I mean, what? All right. Why not, though, you know? I mean, why wouldn't you? It's like when I got my my flip phone, and I had all these people, friends of mine in comedy too. They go, I wish I could do that. Man, I wish I could go back to a flip phone. And it's like, what do you think? Why do you think my life is more easily able to handle a flip phone than yours? I'm not. I had to promote a television show. I need to be on Twitter and all that stuff just as much as anybody. What are you talking about? You can do it. You can't imagine it, but you can do it. Same as traveling. I will suggest one book for you if you're thinking at all about it. Got some long-term travel, and then I'll leave. Vagabonding. It's a book by John Potts. Easy, quick read. Pick it up. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. For John Spies, don't forget to check out the website where you can see tons of pictures from the Cave Lodge. If I don't have it up before I leave for spots tonight, I will have it up tonight. When I get home, or tomorrow morning. That'll be Thursday morning. And every week, go there, find out everything there. Ari Shaffir Skeptic Tank, episode 289. Caveman with John Spies. Over and out.